time to focus on Mother Africa. Welcome to the show. It's always a great pleasure to have you with us. This week, we focus on technology and technological development across the continent. We're speaking to Gerard Brandjes, who is the Vice President, Sub-Saharan Africa of Microsoft Mobile Devices. We get your views on the issues, and we have Africa's top 10. You're watching the Africa Leadership Dialogues. I'm Julie Gishuru. This week we speak to Gerard Brandjes, who is the Vice President, Sub-Saharan Africa for Microsoft Mobile Devices. Gerard was appointed as Vice President in 2012 and currently oversees an area which includes East, Central, West and Southern Africa. He's responsible for the overall business strategy, including all sales and marketing, care and channel and ecosystem development, government relations and strategic partnerships. Let's get his views on Africa, development and technology. Gerard, thank you so much for finding time for the Africa Leadership Dialogues. Now, technological adoption across the continent seems to be a really exciting area right now. We're seeing young people doing incredible things. We're seeing, new businesses starting to come build up around technology. But I'd be very interested to know, and I think our viewers would love to know, what's the consumer behavior with respect to Microsoft mobile devices? What are you seeing across the continent?
Thank you, Julie, for the opportunity to talk to you. So it's an absolutely vibrant time for the continent. We're seeing shipments growth year on year. And the amazing thing is smartphone shipments are almost doubling year on year. So more and more consumers are buying smartphones and they're having tremendous impacts on people's lives. One of the things that we've been able to help drive is the adoption of smartphones by bringing our portfolio to lower and lower price points. Mm-hmm. And once you give people business tools at lower price points, it fundamentally changes their lives. It provides them access to cloud services and basic methods in which they can be economically active. So it has a profound impact. And if you come into Kenya as an example, right, we've seen smartphone shipments double in the last couple of months. And if you look at people and how they're using technology, it's really enabling them to live more productive lives, which in essence is what Microsoft Mobile is trying to drive. Make people more productive and make them more economically active in the society in which they operate.
There's a lot of talk about a growing middle class across Africa and people who are perhaps able to spend more money on the more executive devices. Are you seeing that pattern emerging?
Oh, absolutely. So, there's a wide variety of price points in any given market. Mm-hmm. But what we are seeing is that people are making choices and people are buying up and down the various price points. But I think the most important thing that we see from an affordability perspective is it goes beyond just the device, because one has to factor in the total cost of ownership. And I think there we really have some challenges. In many of our African markets, we have high rates of taxation. And that proves a real barrier for people really benefiting from the whole mobile revolution. For example, in Kenya, as an example, we have very high taxation here. And maybe if I take you a couple of years back, VAT was exempt, or at least mobile phones was exempt from VAT in 2009. Right. And it had such a fundamental impact and a positive impact on the overall environment. And there were some studies done which showed that there was a positive correlation between mobile penetration and GDP growth. But what's actually happened in some of our markets is that taxes have come back, and that then hampers the entire experience and the benefits of mobility in any particular country.
What's your message then to African leaders who are watching this show as to what they need to do in terms of policy?
So I think from a pure policy perspective, one has to have a holistic view of the policy, right? And one has to understand that technology is enabling economic growth in many of our markets. And thus one has to lower the barriers for entry into technology for the average everyday citizen. And therefore, things like VAT, customs duties, you need to honestly take a hard look at the benefit of levying that versus fueling economic activity in a particular population. So, I would really recommend a more holistic look And then look at the benefits of technology. People are being enabled through having mobile devices in their hands. That leads to economic activity. Versus, unfortunately, in many of our African countries, porous borders, where a lot of the devices that are shipped into countries are actually effectively being smuggled into countries. And people are effectively not actually paying duties. And that's fueling criminality and a whole host of other social issues.
Right.
So one has to have a holistic view of how technology can enable an economy, and then effectively let your legislation come from that.
Let's go to the question of, the markets that you're operating in, and if you were to name an African country that's getting it right now and that's powering forward, what would that be? Which would that be?
Wow. There's many African countries that are making great strides forward. I'll perhaps take you back to Kenya in 2009. Great step forward, removing VAT from mobile phones, and penetration increased, economic activity released. But unfortunately, they took a couple of steps back 2 years ago by reintroducing VAT on mobile phones. So they got it right, but for whatever reason have taken a step backwards. So I think in the context of Kenya, it really needs to be relooked at again. But I think if we stretch beyond Kenya and look at some of the markets, I think Nigeria is really starting to motor forward and power in the mobile space. There's relatively low duties there, and the policy and the framework that is in place there is enabling entrepreneurs and thousands of entrepreneurs to actually drive economic growth at a very individual and a small company type level, which is again fueling the economy. So Nigeria certainly in the right space, and another country, Ghana as an example. Ghana are now looking at removing VAT and levies on all smartphones. Not on feature phones, but smartphones, because they've recognized that these are essentially computers in people's pockets. And again, access to information, economic empowerment will result from smartphones being more widely penetrated across the economy.
So as I mentioned, and as you've mentioned, a lot of people engaging fully. But there might be others sitting back and saying, look, what is importance of this kind of access? What will a smartphone do for my life? What does 4G even mean as we start to move forward? What's your message to people who don't quite understand the technological development?
I think the first step is it's rather surprising, when you actually chat to people and they actually don't realize how much technology is impacting them in their current lives. Many people have a basic email account. What they don't understand, or what they fail to realize, is that is a cloud service. Right? That is an email account that is sitting somewhere in the cloud, which is enabling them to communicate. So at your most basic level, people can communicate more effectively. I think if you start building from then, many people have social accounts. A smartphone allows people to be better connected at a social level and stay in touch with their friends and their family. If you then start building even further, you then have access to information which can help you make the right economic decisions or the right career or job decisions. And then you can even take it to the next level where you can mobilize productivity tools. Things like the Microsoft Office 365, which allows you to have productivity tools with you on the go wherever you are. And then you can take it to the most complex level where you can have specific software or productivity tools developed for you and your particular company or your particular business purpose. So there's a host of benefits if you look at technology holistically. It depends what you want to get from technology.
Stay with the Africa Leadership Dialogues.
Do you think the education system in many African countries is preparing young people to leverage the benefits of the technological revolution?
There's certainly some distance to go. I think that's where Microsoft see a real role for us to help policymakers, educators, institutions to help people understand the benefits of technology. So there's a number of initiatives that we have as Microsoft where we work with the youth to upskill them as well as provide economic and job opportunities. And there's a particular project that we have called Youth Spark, which was founded or started in 2012, where we aim to have 300 million youth positively impacted by the benefits of technology. And about, in the last year, across Africa and the Middle East, we've been able to positively influence about 75,000 youth by exposing them and training them in basic technology, and even further than that, provide 17,000 actual job opportunities in the technology space through our various initiatives and partnerships with governments, education institutions. So we have a role there as Microsoft. I think the other thing that is really important, if you look at the youth today, for those of us who didn't grow up with all the technology, that we see around us now, the social aspect of technology is introducing people to the broader benefits of technology. Mm-hmm. And once people start understanding how technology works, they're starting to apply it across their lives. If I take examples of young kids, even my son, right? He understands technology.
How old is he?
He's 11 years old.
Okay.
And he understands technology because he started at a very basic level playing games on my phone. Mm-hmm. And from that has developed and now has his own email, etc. and etc. And he understands where to go find information. He understands how information benefits him when he does his homework. Things like that. So our youth are growing up very differently. But as I said, I think for us as Microsoft, we need to show the benefits more holistically, and then drive specific initiatives where we can tangibly show the benefits of technology.
Let's go to the threats now. And it's an exciting space, but from issues of fraud, cybercrime, to, the right to privacy, which is not guaranteed in this new world, the right to be forgotten, which is a whole other discussion that is being held. What are your words of advice to people on the continent today about the threats of this digital revolution?
There are a number of threats. I think at the most basic level, always make sure that you're using products that are intended for your markets with proven technology. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, in many of our countries in Africa, there's a lot of product that is supplied illegally and grey product into our African continent. So the first thing that I would advise people is to buy a product that is intended for your markets, right? Because there you have a level of protection, both from a safety perspective, but also from a warranty perspective, which is really super important. If we get onto the whole confidentiality and information space, mm-hmm. I think Microsoft have been leading a lot of dialogue as well as policy discussion with various regulators in terms of how we secure our customers and our consumers' information and how we guarantee their privacy. And there's a number of cases that have been publicized to some degree globally, whereas our secure cloud and our secure storage ensures that people have that privacy. So I think some practical advice maybe for consumers, if you are going to be very active on the internet and be exposed to certain sites, etc., just ask yourself the question, is this a trusted site? Do I suspect something may be wrong? And just use a bit of common sense. When you want to utilize, I guess, the benefits of technology.
Use a bit of common sense. Common sense, which is not always common, is a very important thing. So if you have any doubts,
absolutely,
don't go to the website. Keep away.
Absolutely. And once it's on the internet, and once you've posted something, for instance, from a social perspective, it's there forever.
Right.
So maybe think twice sometimes,
For a lot of young people, particularly, who do post a lot of things, before you post a picture, make a comment, sometimes it's really important to think twice about what you're saying and ask yourself, if you're seated in an interview or seated with your grandparents, would you be happy for them to see that content? If not, maybe the answer is don't post it. So coming to the global picture and where Africa sits, in terms of the continental growth in this area, where are we?
I think it's probably the best region to be in.
Wow.
So if you look at it from a pure macroeconomic perspective, the GDP growth rates, some of the economic activity now being driven and grown or stimulated out of Africa, it's a superb place, and we see phenomenal growth, not only in the mobile device space, but also in the cloud services space, coming out of Africa in the next 5, 10, 15 years. In fact, Ethiopia is one of the biggest opportunities, and will be one of the...
Ethiopia, huge market.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal potential for growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I read a stat the other day that there's more billionaires per capita coming out of Ethiopia in the last couple of years than anywhere else. So, there's huge opportunities in Africa. And I think as we get better from a governance and a policy perspective, as people start rising out of poverty into the middle class, as more access to world-class goods and services start to permeate across society, I think Africa will be a phenomenal growth generator for the world in the years to come. Really, really do. And I think behind that, is technology, which is now becoming pervasive and is showing people how to benefit within this new, this new reality of Africa as a powerhouse, which will emerge in the years to come.
Wow. So let's talk Africa and the perceptions we have of each other on this continent, the barriers we have to movement, and technology is changing that significantly. You're based in South Africa, and obviously we've seen the xenophobia. We see some of the conflicts that are happening in different parts of the African continent. You sound optimistic about Africa becoming the powerhouse. Why are you optimistic in spite of all these kind of challenges?
Look, there's no doubt there are some serious challenges, but if you walk down the streets of any of our major capitals in Africa, whether it be in Nairobi, whether it be in Lagos, you feel a sense of energy, you feel a sense of optimism, and you feel a sense of people wanting to shape their future. And there's this entrepreneurial base behind all of this. People want to better their lives. Right? So I think that's one distinct thing that I see in Africa, which I don't see in many other parts of the world. People realize that their future is in their hands and they want to improve their lives. And there's this hustle and this energy to make things happen, which is really different from the rest of the world. So I think if we can get the policy and the framework right at a more macro level, and then stimulate this sense of entrepreneurship and provide opportunities, there is no doubt that Africa will take steps forward. Absolutely no doubt. And there are success stories on the continent. There are many success stories on the continent. So if we can emulate that and harness this positivity and this energy and channel people in the right way forward, no doubt this continent will continue to be a success and drive into the future.
What attributes would you like to see from our leaders to ensure that we have the right framework in place?
I think the first realization is when a leader is in power, they're there to serve. And they're not there to serve their own interests, they're there to serve society's interests. I think that's the first thing that I would ask all our African leaders to seriously take a look at. They're there to serve society, and they're there to benefit the society as a whole and move the economy forward. So if we have that level of understanding, I think that we would be in a far better place in some of the countries in which we operate. So I think that's really, really important. And then I think the second thing is we need to embrace how technology can provide, more opportunities and help shape economic growth into the future. And look at ways in terms of how governments can partner with corporate entities, with non-profits, with educational institutions. And through this, this ecosystem of partnerships where the collective is stronger than the individual, there is tremendous opportunity and scope for growth.
That's exciting. You keep talking and I keep feeling invigorated. But having a vibrant entrepreneurial spirit is important. What else do we need from our citizenry? We've spoken about leadership. What do we need from the citizenry?
I guess there are many things, but I think that sense of my future is in my hands and I'm there to make a difference. And I've seen examples of where people have taken that approach and have made a difference in their lives and in their society in which they operate. And I've also seen examples of where people have perhaps stood back and waited for the government to provide access to services, basic infrastructure, housing, electricity, water, etc. So you have a choice, as a citizen of Africa. Yes, we have challenges. They are being addressed, and sometimes perhaps not at the pace that we need it to be addressed at. But if you take your future into your own hands, you can create a better life for yourself, your family, and your society. It is really up to you. And as I said, I feel that energy in many of the major cities in which I operate in. But I also have examples of where it isn't quite the case.
We've come to the end, and I just want you to look into the camera. I feel inspired. by your positivity. I think a lot of people want to know, in the space that I'm in, I want to contribute towards development. I want to be able to do for myself and to contribute positively to my society as well. Perhaps the question is, how can we as individuals leverage the technology or learn more about how to leverage the technology to take us to the next level? If you'd speak to Africans directly, please.
As mentioned earlier, I think we have such a unique opportunity in Africa. When one looks at the economic growth rate predicted for Africa, when one looks at policy and regulation improving over time, I think Africans have a huge opportunity to improve their lives. And Africans have an opportunity to embrace technology and let that technology benefit them, not only at a social level, but also at an economic level. And I think if you take the approach that the future's in your hands, you absolutely have the ability to have a better tomorrow.
The future's in your hands. Thank you so much, Gerard.
Thank you, Judy.
Stay with the Africa Leadership Dialogues.
Hi, my name is Gerard Brandjes, Vice President for Microsoft Mobile Devices, Sub-Saharan Africa, and you're watching Africa Leadership Dialogues.
I'm really inspired. I hope you are too. Let's get straight to your views on the issues.
This week we asked you, how has internet use contributed to development on the continent? Martin Juguna says, it has reduced transaction costs and brought financial services closer to people who may live far from the nearest bank branch or ATM.
Hi Africa, my name is Joshua Kwanya and I'm watching Africa Leadership Dialogue from Homa Bay County. Regarding today's discussion, I'd rather say that internet has really helped when it comes to online shopping, things like Jumia or OLX, where people go shop there. You can sell your goods from there and you get customers. At the same time, I can also say that internet has also helped us to get particularly educationists, to those who want to do research on the internet, can go there to do the secondary research there when it comes to education. And also, I would rather say again that internet has also helped when it comes to do advertisement and marketing for the companies who want to create new goods and services that they do, so they can post their services and goods on the internet to attract more buyers or consumers. Thank you.
To join our conversation, go to our G+ page, Africa Leadership Dialogues, on Facebook, Africa Leadership Dialogues, on Twitter, @AfricaLD, and on WhatsApp, send your video comments to +254 715 816 033.
It's time now for Africa's Top 10.
This week on Africa's Top 10, we feature countries with the highest percentage of internet users. The study focused on people using the internet from any device, including internet-enabled mobile phones. This is according to the World Economic Forum. Starting us off at number 10 is Swaziland with a score of 24.7 and ranked at number 97 globally. At number 9 is Cape Verde. The island nation attained a score of 37.5 and is ranked at number 89 globally. Coming in at number 8 is Nigeria. The West African state is ranked 87th globally with a score of 38%. Positioned at number 7 is the island nation of Mauritius with a score of 39% and ranked at number 86 globally. Kenya comes in at number 6. The East African state attained a score of 39.1% and is ranked at number 85 globally. Slotted in at number 5 is Tunisia. The North African state is ranked at number 78 globally with a score of 43.8%. Taking the number 4 spot is South Africa with a score of 48.9% and is ranked at number 69 globally. Egypt takes the number 3 spot with a score of 49.6% and is ranked 68th globally. Coming in at number 2 is Seychelles. The island nation is ranked at number 66 globally with a score of 50.4%. And at number 1 this week is Morocco with a score of 56% and is ranked at number 59 globally. And that's Africa's Top 10 this week.
As always, we end with words of wisdom, another African proverb for you, and this one comes from Buganda. By trying often, the monkey learns to jump from the tree. What an exciting space we're in. But if you don't try, you can't succeed. Try, and try again. And in the words of Gerard, make sure you understand that your fate is in your own hands. Blessings to you and blessings to Africa.